Hey guys, how's it going? It's Danconia. Welcome back to the Overwatch League Roundup 2020 NA Summer Showdown preview. So, we are at, yet again, another tournament time. We had the May Melee back in May, and now we are coming across the Summer Showdown at the start of July. So, this is going to be super interesting. We're going to take a look at the North American region first. We're going to split these up. It's going to be NA and APAC. APAC will be tomorrow. But we're going to look at NA today because NA actually kicks off tomorrow night on the Friday. So that's because obviously NA has a lot more matches to get through because it's a bigger region. We have 13 teams in NA obviously compared to the 7 that are in APAC. And so we have a bit more to go through in this one. Now, if you missed it, don't know why you missed it. It was in the results video at the end of last week's fixtures. But we had the qualification match between the 12th and 13th place teams at the end of last week's fixtures. It was between the Washington Justice and the Boston Uprising, two teams that have failed to pick up a win in June. And this wasn't a particularly close match. Boston played well at times, but it ended up as a 3-1 for the Washington Justice. So Washington Justice will be the team that will be featuring in that 12th spot for this month's tournament. Boston Uprising will not be featuring this weekend. And that's disappointing, because Boston Uprising had looked like they'd been improving, whereas the Washington Justice, they looked like they'd been a bit slow on the uptake, but they did look better last week, and we'll see if they can give it a go in this Summer Showdown tournament. But we move to the teams that we are going to see, obviously, and I'll run through our seeds. So, the bottom seed is obviously the Washington Justice, that 13th or 12th place seed. The 11th place seed will be Toronto Defiant. The 10th seed will be the Houston Outlaws, the 9th seed will be Dallas Fuel, 8th seed Paris Eternal, 7th seed Florida Mayhem, 6th seed Los Angeles Gladiators, 5th seed Los Angeles Valiant, 4th seed Vancouver Titans, been an incredible week, incredible month for them, 3rd seed Philadelphia Fusion, 2nd seed Atlanta Reign, which is again has been an incredible month for them, and of course your first seed will be the San Francisco Shock. Who else would it be in NA? So the top 4 seeds don't come in until the quarterfinals, which will take place on July the 4th. I'm sure you Americans are loving that one. So we're going to take a look at July the 3rd, which is where we will see the knockouts to start off with. Now, we know the times for these matches. I don't know the times for the quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals. I only know the days that they are going to be taking place. So we will take a look at the times for these matches that we know that are penned in. So on Friday, July the 3rd, we will kick off with our arguably closest match at 8 PM. This will be the 8th versus 9th seed Paris Eternal taking on the Dallas Fuel, or Dallas Fuel taking on Paris Eternal. It's that way around. But this is going to be interesting because Dallas Fuel have been messing around recently. We've not seen Decay in the past 2 matches, and it's had a good effect. Not a good effect, that's the wrong word. It hasn't had an effect in one match, but it's had a very detrimental effect in the other, where they got 3-0'd by the Vancouver Titans, but they also 3-0'd the Toronto Defiant. Both matches were missing Decay. Now, it could be that Onigod has settled in now, and Onigod did look better against the Toronto Defiant, but the Dallas Fuel are going to have to play well to beat the Paris Eternal. That is without a doubt. So, will Dallas Fuel field Decay? That is the question here, and I think that is what will make the difference. I don't believe there is a player on the Dallas Fuel that can match XZ if Decay doesn't play. Now, in terms of the other matchup, which would arguably be Sparkle and Doha, that is probably going to be Sparkle if I had to bet. It very heavily depends on what both teams run. If Sparkle gets to play as Genji, then Sparkle is one of the best Genjis, if not the best Genji in this league. But he's heavily reliant on his Dragon Blades though, so that's something to be aware of. But if they force Paris to go off that to the May and things like that, Sparkle doesn't look as good, and so Dallas Fuel can get the upper hand. It'll be interesting to see. I think this could be a really close match, but the teller will be whether Dallas Fuel field Decay, because I don't think the Dallas Fuel can compete with the likes of the Paris Eternal if they don't field Decay. So that is going to be super, super interesting. If I had to go for anything, I would say a 3-1 for the Paris Eternal, just because the evidence of the past 2 matches is that they're not going to field Decay. So that's what I'm going on here. But at 10 PM, we will see our 7th seed take on our 10th seed. This will be the Florida Mayhem taking on the Houston Outlaws. So this was actually a really close match. It was a rematch of what we saw last week, where we saw the Florida Mayhem get a 3-2 victory over the Houston Outlaws. And this is obviously a more high-pressure situation. Whoever loses is out. Florida Mayhem, they came second in the main melee. They obviously don't want to be going out at the first hurdle. Houston Outlaws, this will have... The problem is, they have Dante, and they have Linkser, obviously. Great DPS. Dante especially has been really, really good recently. Florida Mayhem have got BQB and Yaki, who are very, very good, and were top of the stats boards in the main melee. But when you look at the supports and the tanks, the Florida Mayhem have the upper hand. When you look at Gargoyle and Fate compared to Hydration and Meko, Meko has the quality, but Hydration doesn't always look comfortable on that main tank. And then when you look at the supports, when you look at Jexa, Repel and Raucus, depending on who they decide to field the Outlaws, and then you've got Florida with Chris and Gangnam Jin. Gangnam Jin definitely is the best support in this matchup. Chris will be able to play as Brigitte, so he'll be fine as well. So this is going to be super interesting. Again, it's kind of meta dependent. Yaki can choose what he wants to run. He can run the Echo, he can run the Tracer, more likely the Tracer. I expect Tracer Ash to be still very strong. With a dash of Genji maybe. Is another thing we might see. And if Yaki gets to play as Genji, I'm not sure who's going to answer that on the Outlaws, if I'm honest. So I still think the Florida is going to be the better team here. I'm not sure whether... I think this might actually be a bit more one-sided than it was in the regular season match. So I'm going to go for another 3-1 here for the Florida Mayhem. But this has upset written on it. I hate to say that, but this has an upset written on it. It really, really does. So it's going to be an interesting match, this one. But at midnight, so we're obviously bridging into the Saturday now, we will see our 5th seed take on our 11th seed. This will be the Toronto Defiant taking on the Los Angeles Valiant. Now, this should be... I think actually this will be the biggest golfing skill we will see in the NA region. Because Toronto, they're coming off the back of losing 3-0 to the Dallas Fuel. That is a Dallas Fuel that didn't have decay. And Los Angeles Valiant are coming off actually a really darn good month. And the Valiant have been looking better and better. But in recent times, we have seen KSP and Shaq shut down ever so slightly. So if Toronto can somehow shut their DPS down, then Toronto have a chance. But Valiant should have too much quality. They should have too much quality. And so I've got to go for a 3-0 for the Valiant. I think Valiant have got way too much quality to get for this Toronto Defiant side. And yeah, that's the way I'm going to look at it for now. This Toronto Defiant side have got a lot to do to get to the heights that they can challenge the likes of Los Angeles. But talking of Los Angeles, our last knockout will be the 6th place team taking on the 13th/12th place team. It'll be the Washington Justice taking on the Los Angeles Gladiators. So, interesting. Los Angeles Valiant were the highest seeded team in this knockout stage. So they got to choose their opponents, and they chose Toronto over Washington. And I think I know why. I think because Washington are starting to improve slightly, I think. And Washington Justice, they gave the Gladiators a few problems when they played them back last week, I think. And it was a 3-1 for the Gladiators in the end. But Justice took a map, obviously. And I think Justice will give it a roll. This is at 2 AM on the Saturday, by the way, if I didn't say it. I still think the Gladiators are going to have too much, but I think Justice are going to cause problems for Gladiators. And Gladiators are incredibly inconsistent this season. That is a big bugbear. For a team that we thought was going to be good, they are incredibly inconsistent. But I will go for a 3-2 for the Gladiators. I have a little bit of belief in the Justice that they might actually pull through and give us a really good match here. But yeah, I'm going to go for the Gladiators, and that means obviously that all of the top seeded teams will be going through. And I don't know whether you would not expect that, really, to be quite honest. But then we move on, obviously, to the fixtures that we don't know about right now. So in the quarterfinals, you'll have the San Francisco Shock, Vancouver Titans, Philadelphia Fusion, Atlanta Reign all coming into it. they will get to pick their opponents. And I'm sure that a lot of people are going to avoid Florida Mayhem and the Valiant, I would expect. I think those are going to be the two bogey skins for a lot of these teams. Philadelphia Fusion, they may end up going up against the Florida Mayhem. And if so, that would be a massive rematch, because remember that the Florida Mayhem beat the Philadelphia Fusion 3-1 in the May Melee, which would be incredibly interesting. But I think there's scope for Atlanta Reign to do pretty well, because they're second seed. San Francisco Shock will obviously have the first pick. You would assume that the Shock would probably pick the winner of the Gladiators Justice match, I would have thought. And then that means the Atlanta Reign get to go up against the winner of Paris versus Dallas, or Houston versus Florida, or Valiant versus Defiant. I would assume they would pick Paris versus Dallas. And so that gives Atlanta the opportunity to actually win that. They have the quality and the players to win out on that. And that means a semi-final spot. And if you can get to the semi-finals in this bracket, then you've got a win on the board, which is massive. It's obviously hard luck for Vancouver Titans. 4th seed is arguably the worst thing you can get, because you can't pick what you get. We'll be talking about that in the APAC region tomorrow. You don't get to pick for the 4th seed, even though you've got that higher seed. It's kind of the bum higher seed, if you see what I mean. But this is going to be super interesting. The quarterfinals will take place on July the 4th, which is the Saturday, obviously. And then on Sunday, we will see the semifinals and the final. The final will be best of 7. And yeah, first of all, I should say, not best of 7, because we could go to crazy amounts of maps. But this is going to be super interesting. I still think the San Francisco Shock are going to be the top team here. But I'm wondering if anyone has caught up slightly. I want to see, because Florida Mayhem haven't been as dominant this month as they were last month. Let's see if they can bring it back and get some better results. Same for I want to see the Philadelphia Fusion buck their ideas up after getting 3-0'd by the San Francisco Shock last week. It'd be interesting. And will there be some surprises from the likes of Vancouver Titans, maybe Atlanta? It will be super duper interesting, this one. And I don't know. I still would back the Shock to win it overall, though. But I'm going to leave it here for this one. Those are my predictions for the NA bracket. Tomorrow we will take a look at APAC. APAC is super duper competitive, so that's going to be darn interesting. But yeah, I can't wait for this Summer Showdown. I think it might be closer in both regions compared to what we saw in May. Let's put it that way. But for now, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you'd like to give a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. See you then.